Hi, it's Kristen. Welcome back for another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about the super popular plant, the Monstera Deliciosa. We're going to be talking all about how to take care of it, the best soil, the light, the fertilizing, watering, all the things. So let's jump in. Over on my website, I have a free printable care guide for the Monstera plant. If you want to grab that and print it out to keep it on hand, it's on my website, raisingnobles.com, or there's a direct link in the description below. So I'm sure you've seen them around, and the reason why you have clicked on this video is because you've either recently acquired one or you're interested in getting one and you're wondering if you can handle the care that it's going to take. It is such a beautiful and large plant, and for me, when I first got it, or when I was thinking about getting it, I was worried about taking care of it. It seemed like a plant this beautiful must be so difficult to take care of, but actually I'm very pleased to tell you that it is really easy. I have a lot of indoor plants. I believe my husband counted them, and I'm in the 20s, maybe upper 20s. I have a lot, and I will say that it is one of the easiest for sure to take care of. So I want to share with you everything that I know about how to get beautiful, thriving. Look how big this guy is. So huge. It's grown so much since I've gotten it. So I'm going to share everything that I know about how to take good care of these plants. So this plant goes by a lot of different names. It is in the philodendron family. Some people call it philodendron split leaf. You can see why, because of the fenestrations on the leaves. Other people call it a Swiss cheese plant, also because of the split leaves here. Proper name is Monstera Deliciosa, and so you might see it going by a few different names, but it is all referring to the same plant. The reason for the split leaves is because this is a tropical plant in the rainforest, and so it is usually crowded out by other larger plants. And in order for the younger leaves to get enough sunlight, the fenestrations occur on the larger leaves, so that way the sunlight will filter through and enable the plants on the bottom to get enough sunlight that it needs to be able to grow and flourish. So you may find a Monstera plant at the store, and maybe it doesn't have these fenestrations in its leaves, and you're thinking, well, that's not what I wanted. I wanted these beautiful, the leaves that you see everywhere. Maybe it just has the more plain ones that you can kind of see down here on the bottom. The reason for that is that chances are it has not had enough light. So the more light that your plant gets, the more fenestrations it's going to have in its leaves. So if you want your leaves to look like this, then you need to get it more light. So let's move into the light since we're already talking about it. These plants love bright, indirect light. It's very important that you don't put it in a window where the sun is going to be beaming onto it straight without being filtered at all by curtains or blinds or something. The sun can burn the leaves. As I said, it is a tropical plant, and so it is definitely used to being in like a tropical forest where there are other, the canopy is kind of shading it out a little bit, and the sunlight that comes through is definitely filtered. So you want to make sure that this gets a lot of bright indirect light throughout the day. 6 hours or more is ideal, and like I said, the brighter it is in the room, indirectly bright, but the brighter it is, the more fenestrations that you'll get on your leaves. If you notice yellowing or brown spots on your leaves, that could be a sign that they are getting burnt by the sun. So make sure that your plant is not in direct sunlight. Let's talk about watering next. So you want to make sure that the pot that you have your Monstera in has drainage holes at the bottom. Most plants don't like for water to sit down at their roots, so it's very important that there's a hole with a tray or something to catch the water, so that way it can drain off any excess water that it's not using. I find that I need to water my Monstera about once a week. I just stick my finger down into the soil and I test to see about like 3 inches down down. And I test to see if it's wet. And if it is wet, then I'll let it be and let it continue using that water and dry out a little bit more. And if it's dry, I'll go ahead and give it a nice deep watering. You don't want to flood it too much, but go ahead and give it quite a bit until the water runs out through the bottom. And then make sure all that water can come out the bottom. Again, you do not want it piling up around the roots. The roots can rot that way and it will kill your plant almost definitely. So drainage holes for sure. Water it when it is dry. You don't want to let it get too dry. You want to keep an eye on it, but it doesn't need to stay constantly moist. It can dry out, and then go ahead and give it a good watering. Something else we need to talk about in regards to water is misting your plant. As I've said a few times, these are tropical plants. They love humidity. So you want to make sure that you have a mister. I'll link my favorite one in the description box down below. I just take this and usually at least once a week, twice a week if I'm really on top of my game, I just take this and give it a good mist all over. It increases the humidity and it makes your plant happy. Next, we're going to talk about fertilizing your Monstera plant. This is something that is often overlooked by people who decide to bring indoor plants into their home. It's very important that you give it fertilizer because you are limiting the amount of nutrients and things that the plant can get by planting it in a small pot in your home versus, of course, it being in its natural habitat or even just in your flower bed. Not that these would go in your flower bed, but flowers that you plant in your flower bed can get nutrients and things from the soil by reaching their roots down deeper. These plants, of course, are only able to get the nutrients and things that we give them. So it's super important that you be a very good plant mom or dad and fertilize your plants. During the growing season, which is spring, summer, early fall, I water my plants every 2 weeks. So I use this organic indoor houseplant food. It's by Espoma. I get mine on Amazon. I'll link it in the description box down below. I just read the directions. It has a very easy measuring system in the top. You just tip this into your watering can, mix your water in with it, and I take it around to all my plants, like I said, every other week and fertilize them that way. During the off season, like the winter, cooler months, you don't need to fertilize your plant. I do like to fertilize it occasionally though. Some people will stop completely, and I think that's probably fine, but I do like to go in like every other month and just give all of my plants a little bit of a boost, and that seems to make them really happy. Houseplants definitely have a tendency to collect dust for obvious reasons, just like a shelf or anything else in your home would. Any sort of surface is going to collect dust on it. And so especially with plants that have these larger leaves, of course, there's a greater surface and they're going to collect dust. It's really important that you go through every other week, maybe along with your fertilizing schedule, you fertilize all your plants. Take a damp cloth, soft, and just very gently go around the leaves and just brush the dust off of the leaves. It's important to brush the dust off so that way the sunlight can get to the leaves and just encourage more growth in your plant. One last thing I did want to talk about with the Monstera is how to propagate it. So one of the really cool things about bringing indoor plants into your home is oftentimes it's really easy to take a piece off of it, whether that be from the root ball. It just depends on the type of plant and how you do it. You can cut a piece off of it depending on the plant and root it in either some soil or some water. But that's a really cool way to expand your indoor plant collection very inexpensively. So Monstera plants are actually very easy to propagate, which is awesome because they can be pretty pricey when you buy them in stores. I'm fortunate enough to have a really neat plant store close by that gets these awesome plants, and they don't jack up the prices super high, which is really great. But if you want to share with a friend or just want to create more for yourself, it's really simple to propagate these. I am going to make a whole nother video all about it, but the short of it is you want to cut under an aerial root. So about 1 inch under an aerial root, and then you're going to put that in a clear jar of water. Make sure that the aerial root and everything is submerged in the water. Give it a few weeks and you should start seeing some roots growing out of the aerial root. And once they get to be about 2, 3, 4 inches long, you can go ahead and transplant that into some soil and keep it nice and moist and watered, and it will start growing and be a whole nother Monstera plant. Something that I find really interesting about the Monstera plant is that they are actually a climbing plant, which I had no idea. When I first purchased this, I saw these little things coming out of it and I was like, what are those things? But they actually are things that are going to try and grab and climb up. So if you prefer your plant to be like expansive and like take up a lot of space, it really does take up quite a lot of space. You can see in this one, which is actually a smaller plant, but you can really tell it's just like growing, sprawling out all sideways. So if you're fine with that, if you have a bigger space, a place that you can have it where it can just like sprawl out and take up all the space, that's perfectly fine, and they'll be healthy and they can grow that way. But let's say you live in an apartment or you have a smaller place that you want to tuck your Monstera into. What you can do is buy moss poles or different types of trellises, and you can stick it down into the center of your Monstera and actually train those roots coming up around it, and it will start to grab hold of it and just go upwards like any sort of vining plant would. So that's something really cool that you can do. Like I said, if you have a smaller space but you still want this gorgeous plant in your home, you can get one of those poles and it'll grow right up it all the way up to your ceiling if you want. And so that's something super fun about the Monstera plant. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope it was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button to stick around for more videos. I'll definitely have more indoor plant videos coming soon. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.